Good morning, everybody. I'm Abhinav. I will be riding to work today on my custom project Himalayan 450 rally. So the bike is almost done. I've been working on this bike for a very long time, few months now, and it's pretty much sorted. It is riding the way I would like it to be. The only thing that I would like to do to it now is probably get custom suspension, maybe a cartridge kit at the front and an adjustable suspension at the rear, so that I can control the compression and the rebound. Other than that, I have told you about this motorcycle. I will not recap everything right now. I'll just tell you about some of the new changes that I have made to the motorcycle in recent times that I've not already talked about. First and foremost, I swapped out the tires. So I have a Rice Trailer 90-21 at the front. I wanted something which is, a little bit more dirt oriented than the stock tire, which is a highly capable tire, but it reaches its capabilities in the mud. Really doesn't do well in the mud. So I thought that maybe a 50-50 tire would be a better bet, since I was tired of just swapping out wheels every weekend. I have a separate wheel set with knobbies on, so I would put them for the trails, and then once I came back I would put these tubeless rims on with the road tires. So really got tired of that, so I did that. Then we have the rally cowl on the motorcycle. This was gifted to me by the Royal Enfield UK team when I was in the UK. I was at the ABR festival. I carried it back with me. This is not on sale yet, but it really transforms the looks of this motorcycle. It complements the rally seat very well, which is also not on sale yet, but it is smashing to look at. This motorcycle really doesn't look like any other Himalayan on the planet right now. It's a fantastic looking motorcycle, very much like an old rally inspired bike. And the party trick on the bike right now, it is this exhaust, the MNTB Craftsman rally exhaust. I helped design this exhaust. I had a certain idea in mind, I had a certain shape in mind, and I told them, look, we really need to make something like this that looks like this, that kind of sounds like this, and then they work their magic. Just fitted it on the motorcycle day before, and it's the best part is it comes with a DB killer. This is a prototype exhaust, so this is the DB killer inside. Right now this is made out of mild steel, so it's rusting a little. Just the DB killer. The exhaust is stainless steel 304, so that will never rust. We will swap out this DB killer for a better finished stainless steel unit whenever we can. So very quality piece of kit, this exhaust. With the DB killer in, it is not loud. It's slightly louder than a stock exhaust with a decat pipe, because the end can is not restrictive like the stock end can would be. This is just right. Hopefully I don't run into cop trouble. It shouldn't happen, because this is not loud enough to attract the attention of cops. And I think it really suits the look of this motorcycle. I had a particular look in mind when I was, when I had told them that this is what we need to make. So it really complements it. The stock end can sort of end somewhere over here. I wanted it to be moved back like an old school rally motorcycle and be longer in length and have that nozzle. Check this out, it says 33.8 kilometers to a liter. That's not bad, right? Riding a bike like this to work and getting 33 kilometers to a liter. I was getting 35, but then I was a little enthusiastic while riding to work and back yesterday with the new pipe. Look at this, my bike has done 309 kilometers and it'll do 148 more. So I really have a 450 kilometer range on this bike, which is fantastic. I don't have to worry about, you know, getting a tank full between Monday and Friday when I go to work. And very few fuel stops when I sort of, what do you call it, you know, go touring. Okay. Honestly, with the helmet on, I can barely hear the exhaust. I mean, I can hear it, it's just that it doesn't sound like it's loud enough to draw any attention. Unwanted attention, that is. Man, the Himalayan is a very calm motorcycle in comparison to the Guerrilla. And this is my bike with all the mods that you can possibly imagine on it. I am running a Fuel-X Pro Plus and I run it on the richest setting. It has map from 1 to 10. I run it on map number 10 so that, you know, it pushes in the maximum amount of fuel in the engine. I have an air filter. I have a slightly less restrictive way to speed air filter in my motorcycle, and you know, now I'm running a decat pipe and an exhaust also. Yet at least the throttle response is nowhere close to what the Guerrilla's is. So this is a very relaxed motorcycle. I love commuting on this bike, man. I'm gonna tell you this from the very beginning. Nice and wide handlebars, tallish, so you know, you sit wide chested, arms are flared out, very comfortable position. Seat is tallish compared to other Indian motorcycles. It's about 869 millimeters, this rally seat. So you sit very high up. You are able to see over traffic, which is a great thing, you know, great visibility, just like how SUVs work. I love the fact that when I drive my Hilux, I'm able to see over most vehicles. So just from the visibility factor, I love a tall seat. Also because the seat is tall, the pegs are low, the bend in the knees is so relaxed. You know, you can do quite a lot of distance on this motorcycle without really feeling the fatigue, which is what it is intended for, considering this is a long distance motorcycle. It's a tourer. And despite being so calm, this motorcycle, I mean, it can turn it on, you know, but it just doesn't feel very fast because, again, it's a very well-mannered motorcycle. The nature is calm. But then once it goes beyond 5,000-6,000 RPM, that is where the party really starts. Turns into a massive mad machine, this bike. It's got a great top end, the rev range, beautiful. Up top, the power delivery. I've kind of gotten used to the levers on this motorcycle, the clutch lever and the brake lever. I still don't particularly like them. I feel they are too chunky and too far out. If they weren't this chunky, you know, they would have felt easier to grab onto, I feel. I will come up with a fix for this very soon. I am about to at least change the clutch lever. Brake lever, I'm still trying to work out what will fit best. I'll probably have to completely redo the master cylinder, change the master cylinder. So that will be one of the upcoming modifications on the motorcycle. Hey, easy. So I love the fact that this motorcycle has a lot of torque. It's not you know, like it's not fast like a KTM maybe, this motorcycle, but it's extremely torquey. And honestly, in the real world, that is what is required. Look at me, I'm in the fourth gear, barely doing 3000 rpm, 50 kilometers an hour. Now in the fifth, just easy rolling. This motorcycle is very easy rolling, very mild, gentle natured motorcycle at these revs. In fact, this as I said, above 6000 or so, it transforms. So this engine has a duality in its nature. It can go fast, it can really hustle, and it can then do this, just be a very comfortable and putt around town if you wanted to. And look at this, I can barely hear the exhaust. The only time I really notice it when I'm off throttle and it just purrs beautifully. Lovely sound. I think with the DB killer I don't really need to worry much about running this exhaust in the city. If you've seen my earlier two videos, the commute style videos that I did, I rode the Gorilla and then I rode the Speed 400 last week. Just see the difference in my riding style today compared to those motorcycles. I feel like riding in a much more calm and relaxed manner on this motorcycle. I don't feel the need to really go flat out. The Gorilla really compels you to do that. Man, that is a beautiful motorcycle. The Gorilla compels you to really whack the throttle open at all times. Maybe I think I'll have to try swapping the ECU of this motorcycle and the Gorillas. Why not? I mean, it's worth a try for that map, because Royal Enfield is not gonna give that map on this motorcycle. I think maybe add a different setting, a different map, call it Performance Plus or Race or Rally, whatever you want to call it, and just give that map on this bike, because this bike can do with that particular kind of excitement. It's an exciting bike to ride, don't get me wrong. It's just not Gorilla exciting. But very easy to filter traffic with this motorcycle. I mean, it's not as easy as a 17-inch wheel motorcycle would be, because they have narrower handlebars. This has these bar end extenders also to accommodate the barkbusters, so it is a little wide, so fitting your handlebar through most places can be a little challenging, but not much. What I really appreciate about this motorcycle is it is deceptively fast, so you end up covering a lot of kilometers without really realizing the fact that you're saving on a lot of time. Usually it takes me about 50-55 minutes to get to work on this bike. To come back last evening, I came back home in 32 minutes. 33 kilometer commute in 32 minutes in traffic. All I was doing was about 70-80. Yeah, I maybe on the expressway, the Noida part of it, I was doing about 100, but then I was doing about 70, 60, whatever the traffic would allow me to flow at. I think that is phenomenal. I wasn't that fast on the Ducati on a Saturday, the Desert X Rally, and that's saying something. It took me 38 minutes, and Saturdays there's no traffic. So yeah, you don't need to downshift on this motorcycle. That's one of its strengths, because the torque curve is so flat. By the way, I must tell you something, with this new exhaust and the Fuel X Pro Plus, and I will also be installing this weekend the Powertronic piggyback unit on this motorcycle. We dyno tested it at the Race Dynamics facility in Bangalore. This motorcycle, the stock motorcycle on the dyno, it puts out 34 horsepower. Okay. With the Fuel X, with the exhaust, with the air filter, with the Powertronic, we are now making 39.1 bhp at the rear wheel, and we've gained the torque is around 40 at the rear wheel. On the crank on the dyno, the torque was also 5 newton meters lower, about 35 or so. So if you extrapolate the numbers and if you look at numbers at the crank, this is a 46 horsepower motorcycle now, and you can feel the difference when you ride it. You can. Without the Powertronic, this motorcycle is still making at least 3 horsepower more. With the fuel X and the air filter and the exhaust. And also remember this, guys, this motorcycle right now is about I don't know, man, close to 15-17 kilos lighter than a stock motorcycle. So the dry weight of this motorcycle is below 165 kilos. We are doing 51 in the 50 in the 5th gear. There is no protest. We are sitting just about at about 3000 rpm, and very cleanly the bike pulls. Very cleanly it pulls. Just love it about this motorcycle. It's so torquey, and torque is what you need, man, in the city. You don't need horsepower. Peak horsepower is just a very irrelevant figure. Torque is where most of your riding depends on how torquey the bike is. I must also tell you this, right now I am back on the stock gearing. So this motorcycle from the factory, it comes with a 47 tooth rear sprocket. I found that, at least on trails, I wanted it to have a little bit more snap. For the road, the gearing is lovely, it's perfect, but on the trails, I wanted a little bit more snap, so I swapped out that sprocket for a 49 teeth sprocket. But right now, I'm also using this motorcycle for commuting. So I did find the gearing to be slightly on the shorter side with the 49 teeth sprocket. So I switched back to the stock gearing. And I don't have any complaints, at least with the exhaust and the additional power that this motorcycle makes. It sort of compensates for the sprocket change. The ABS doesn't even kick in, like it kicks in on the Interceptor very quickly. Very late intervention of the ABS. Saved my life once. I almost crashed into Honda City, I would like to believe, at a crossing, which had jumped the signal. Even I was a little fast, but at least my light was green. Great brakes. The rally seat is a little on the harder side, a little on the firmer side, which is expected, but commuting is not a bother. I've done Nepal on this bike with this rally seat. I've done days where I'm 8 hours on the saddle. The only time I stopped was for fuel twice in those 8 hours. It does become a little bothersome at the 6-7 hour mark of constant riding, but then I think your tolerance of how a seat is quite a personal thing. It will vary from person to person, and nobody in their right mind should be riding 6-7 hours non-stop. It's stupid. I did it because it was a solo ride, and you can sort of push yourself during a solo ride, but it's not worth it, man. Just take a break. Just take a break whenever you can. Okay, so we are going over flyover joints, and this is a good time to talk about the suspension. The suspension on this motorcycle, it's a Showa upside down fork with 200 mil of travel at the front, Showa monoshock at the rear with 200 mil of travel, and you absolutely cannot complain. There is nothing like, I think the best thing about this motorcycle is its suspension. There are a lot of great things about this bike, a lot of great things. I think it's the total package, this motorcycle. But if one thing really stands out, it is the suspension. Has anybody, I've seen a lot of videos on the internet. I don't think I've seen anybody complain about the suspension yet. I don't think so. The only thing that you wouldn't, that you'd want is slightly stiffer suspension in a rally setting, but this is not a rally bike. It's an adventure bike that can do a lot of off-roading. So the suspension is just perfect, man. In fact, it is the best suspension sold in this country under 10 lakh rupees. Whenever there's a need to overtake somebody, I just gently roll on the throttle and the bike just builds up speed very quickly. Look at this, I'm doing about 80 and the real-time fuel consumption shows it shows crazy numbers because we're on a slope, but let's see. So let's say you're doing about 70. The real-time fuel consumption can vary anywhere between 35 and 46, 47, which effectively is why I'm getting such great fuel economy, because now, apart from a small stretch of traffic for about 2 odd kilometers, I will be on such expressway kind of roads. So yeah, that's the reason for the great fuel economy that I get. I like that there is no real wind buffeting at these speeds, so this motorcycle is not tiring, because there is this extended taller windscreen. It's narrow, so wind is still hitting me, which I kind of like, because I don't like being isolated from the wind completely. That's a very car-like feeling, and that's boring. A motorcycle, the whole point is that you move your entire body with the bike. You feel the air, you feel the elements. It is engaging. So in that sense, I like this windscreen. I am running 50-50 tires, as I told you earlier. There is no tire noise at these speeds, nothing. These tires, they're not very costly. So these are normal nylon tires. These aren't steel belt radials like the stock tires. The stock tires are phenomenal tires. They are built very well. They will ride well in any conditions, and they are a champ for commuting like this. They roll so well. They roll well even on hard-packed trails, and there is no real need to change them. But since I like to ride my motorcycle on various terrains, I just thought that I want to try the 50-50 tire. I also wanted that slightly aggressive tread pattern look on the bike as well. So I went for the 50-50 tires, and these tires are fairly cheap. The set cost me about 6,000 rupees or so, 6,100 rupees at a discounted price from Rise. The funny thing is, the rear tire is a tubeless tire. It's a downsized tire because the 140 80-17 is not available, so I'm running a 130 80-17 at the rear. It's a tubeless, so it fits very well on the tubeless rim. The front, they don't make a tubeless, so I'm actually running a tube inside a tubeless rim. Everybody in this country is going berserk right now that we want tubeless rims so that we can ride a tubeless setup. I'm probably the only person who is running a tubeless rim with a tube inside, only because I don't have the option of running it, without the tube. I've not really felt that, I'm lacking grip from these tires. I haven't. I've not ridden very fast. I probably took it to a 140 while going to work on these tires earlier. Not yesterday, about 10 days ago or so. But I didn't feel the lack of grip. And the stock tires, they're not that cheap. I think the rear tire is about 10,500 rupees, which is still incredible value for money, because if you buy an equivalent tire from let's say Pirelli, like a Scorpion Trail 2, that would cost a lot of money, man, a lot of money. So the front tire, the stock tire, is about 5,500 rupees if I remember it correctly. 16,000 rupees for a set of stock tires, versus which, by the way, are not even readily available. It's a task to find those tires. I've not been able to find them so far, but it is a task to find those tires. These tires, they cost 6,000 rupees. It's just use and throw, man. Use and throw. Even if they last some 5,000-6,000 kilometers, I don't mind it. The other thing that these tires do, they reduce the unsprung mass. Now this is a very light tire. The rear tire weighs about 4.6 kilos. The stock tire, because it's a steel belted radial and it is the better tire, let me get that very straight. It's this tire and that tire, they don't really compare. That tire is a better tire in all situations except riding in mud. In my opinion, that tire will brake better, it will have better handling, better ride, better everything. This tire just looks better and, you know, is a more off-road oriented 50/50 tire. The big advantage that you'll get with this tire is you are dropping about 5 kilos of unsprung mass from your rear wheel. That is insane, right? Because that stock tire weighs about 9 kilos, maybe a little over 9 kilos. So you're dropping at least 4.5 kilos of unsprung mass. So now theoretically this motorcycle should accelerate faster and brake faster as well. Of course the grip levels will not be the same with this tire compared to that one, because that's just a better compound in my opinion. That would also be a higher speed rated tire. So I don't remember, I think that would be an H rated tire where the speed limit speed rating of that tire would be 210 kilometers an hour, whereas the speed rating on these tires, I think I saw them on the tire, is 180 kilometers an hour. Not that I'm taking this bike to 180, I don't know if it even will. It should do about 170, 175 easily with the mods. I have seen videos of, you know, some young people dragging motorcycles on some highways where the Himalayan does about 170 or so on the speedo. So I think my motorcycle should get there. Do you see how tractable this motor is? Just rolling in the second. Just rolling in the second. And the best part, whenever I ride a street bike, 17-inch wheels with a slightly canted forward riding stance, my palms, they just ache. Not on this bike at all, because I'm sitting so upright. Overall, much more comfortable motorcycle than a street bike, any street bike for that matter. Even the Triumph Scrambler 400X, it has a tallish handlebar, but it's still not tall enough, so you feel that little bit of pressure on your palms. Maybe you get used to it eventually with time. It is my choice of ADV in India right now, easily. This bike is not a lot of money, 3.5 lakh rupees, I believe, or so. Looks good, looks really good, but looks are a subjective matter, so you decide whether you like the looks of the bike or not. I think it looks really well. This whole rally inspired kit, it makes me want to ride this bike more, just because, you know, if a bike looks good, if a bike looks fast, you'd end up riding the bike more. If a bike looks boring, well, yeah, you'll get used to it. But obviously a bike that looks good is a bike that you'll end up picking most of the times to ride than a boring looking bike. 6 gear, very easy. Exhaust is not obnoxious at all. Very subtle sound, very subtle sound. It's perfect. It's like how I wanted it to be. It's not bothering me. I can tour with it I can commute with it. I am commuting with it without any problem. And obviously if I want to take it to the trail and, you know, ride fast, or maybe if, you know, I go to the Himalayas and want to ride rally style, I can take the DP Killer route and have a very punchy motorcycle. Go from here. It's a fun bike at the end of the day. Remember that. Lovely brakes. Is it a good commuter? I think it's a great commuter. Sorry guys, I don't have much negative or anything really negative to say about this motorcycle. You just saw me ride it. Fuss-free riding, no matter what kind of terrain, road, broken road, expressway, slush, mud, rain, whatever you might find, this bike will, you know, handle anything without breaking a sweat. And that is why most of my riding now is on the Himalayan 450 than any other motorcycle. This is the exhaust. It's a round oval, 300 mm length, and you know, it goes all the way up and joins into the header pipe. The cat corn is gone now. 3 kilos we saved by making this exhaust from the bike. You might be wondering what this is. I'll leave it for another video. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Bye bye.